Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I got this aggressively average content for you today. As ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of catching up to do, as I've been allowing some time to go by for major events to happen, for some more context to come into the market. And what I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt is that metals are on a complete, absolute tear. $5,200 gold, $114 silver. These are historic times for the world economic stage. And here, the crypto market lags behind, acting as if it has no possible end to this sideways momentum in sight. But for a lot of us seasoned crypto investors, we live to tell the tale of crypto seasons past. In 2017, March 2017 to be exact, XRP went on a life-changing run for a lot of people that got in. What all of you need to understand is that to me and to a lot of other people, XRP looks primed to do that exact style move now. Not to the extent some people think, in my opinion, but I think life-changing gains are afoot, and a double-digit XRP price is not far away in terms of time span. Ladies and gentlemen, there's been so much going on that we need to pay attention. The XRP bulls are about to print, as Gordon Gekko posted. And for a lot of us, we've been so dissuaded by sideways price action, we've probably forgotten how explosive this crypto market can easily get. The Clarity Act is due to pass. Market infrastructure is coming. And it's very clear that the crypto bill that's supposed to be passed and on the way will happen shortly. It'll take a short amount of time for us to adjust. And Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse gave his 2 cents as to why he's bullish at where we are in terms of legislation, despite a lot of backlash. I was here in 2016 where crypto didn't know if it was going to be illegal or not. Now we know that it's about to gain full legal clarity and people dare to be bearish. That is asinine, and you will need to stop dead in your tracks. Ladies and gentlemen, what's so important is that every single one of you need to realize how close we are to a full-blown altcoin moon mission, especially with XRP and the institutional products around it. And what I want to tell you is, give us a couple days, maybe weeks, and a lot of special things are about to be afoot for our baby, our precious, our XRP.
Clarity is always better than chaos, and the industry needs clarity. Perfection, I think, in my experience, is the market structure bill that's pending in the banking committee, is it perfect? No, certainly not. But is it better than nothing? Absolutely. And I think we need to continue to work constructively with Washington to get and continue to iterate what is already sitting in front of the banking committee to make it better, but we shouldn't give up now. We are so close.
And you know what's so funny about that, actually, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse is pro crypto clarity the way it was in the initial draft of the bill. He was called out pretty heavily by Charles Hoskinson from Cardano, and Brian Armstrong has called out that legislation as well, being a way for banks to help limit yield in the crypto space. But what that signals to me is that Brad Garlinghouse is confident that Ripple and XRP will win, and he just wants laws to pass because they already have full legal clarity. A completely different tune than his words during the SEC lawsuit. Here, we had Davos just a few days ago, and Brian Armstrong, when he arrived at Davos, broke down a couple things that he's looking to do in regards to what he wants from crypto legislation in the United States.
Hey y'all, I'm here in Davos at the World Economic Forum and just wanted to give you a quick update. 3 main goals for us this week. Number 1, I'm talking to different world leaders about economic freedom and how crypto can update their financial system. Number two, we're going to continue to work on the market structure legislation and meet with some of the bank CEOs to figure out how we can make this a win-win. This stablecoin should be an opportunity for both banks and crypto companies, as long as we're all treated on a level playing field. And of course, defer to the Senate and the administration about how to take those discussions forward. Number three, we're going to talk a lot about tokenization this week and how it's democratizing access to capital markets. There's about 4 billion adults globally that they're unbrokered, they don't have access to any kind of high quality investments. And this is the engine of wealth creation that everybody should have access to. And crypto is going to help make that happen. So we'll keep you updated and talk soon.
Well, the banks are doing something very different, which is called fractional reserve lending. So they're actually lending out customer deposits without their permission, essentially, right, to earn the spread, and that's what the whole banking. That's why there's such heavy oversight from banking regulation.
What's different in what you're planning on doing with your customers' assets?
So under Genius, stablecoin issuers have to hold 100% reserve. It's not fractional reserve. 100% of the assets are in short-term U.S. Treasuries. It's very low risk.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, with everything you saw from Brian Armstrong at Davos, you need to remember how important this moment in history is. We're in the first half of 2026, SWIFT announcing that a new standard for cross-border payments, consumer-oriented payments, and MVP will be delivered the first half of 2026. After November 2025, we saw the full ISO 20022 rollout, go live, transfer over. This is not a game. This is not a drill. This is the real deal, Holyfield, and we are in regulation passing time. We have seen a slow grind down of the XRP price, and that is healthy. It's like pulling on a rubber band, stretching it more and more and more and more and more right before it all explodes. The price action right now is simply momentary, and I promise you, the leg back up is going to be explosive. We're right there, and you cannot ignore it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, something extremely important I want to point out is how the Russell 2000 has hit all-time high values, been rocketing up in values, and it's been noted that the Russell 2000 is a leading indicator to risk on assets like crypto. We've seen life-changing gains in gold and silver. We've seen life-changing gains in the stock market. We've seen life-changing gains in the Russell 2000. But we have not yet seen life-changing gains in XRP. The crypto market is stagnant, treading water, waiting behind the rest of the pack as far as asset classes go. But I think it's because it's going to have its one last leg, its final dance at the party, and it's going to be a fireworks display. You see, we've been in a weird market where gold and silver, as well as stocks, have been exploding in value, while simultaneously the DXY, which is the strength of the dollar, has been going down. We've had conflicting narratives in terms of the charts and how that applies to the crypto price action. Metals exploding is typically bearish for crypto, but the Russell and the DXY are typically bullish for crypto. So what's about to happen? My guess is that the 5-year long cycle with XRP ETF volumes at play, the Clarity Act on standby ready to pass at some point, and XRP having full-blown legal clarity regardless, are reasons why XRP is going to front-run the market and have a March 2017 style move. Oh, it's going to be so fun to look at what this thing does. But between you and me, we're going to see exactly what we've been waiting for. New all-time high prices, regulatory clarity, and mass vindication because we've always been correct. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies for the last 2 weeks. But I wanted to take some time off to ensure that this next run we have for the crypto space is noted as being the most important. XRP is at $1.60 right now. It is probably one of your last chances to get a sub $2 XRP before the next leg up. And people are bitching and complaining. People think we're going to $1. I don't know about that one. Typically when everyone's fearful, when everyone is tired, those are the moments right before the complete market uptick. We are in the part of the liquidity cycle where we need to see asset classes rise. And crypto's the last one, waiting to see these gains. Do not waver, do not fear. El Toro Loco is here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. If you aren't doing so already, please subscribe to my OnlyFans at onlyfans.com/thebearablebull, as I have a life-changing entry point of a crypto to recommend to all of you. This crypto I view similarly to Cardano back when I bought it in 2018, 2019 at 3 cents. This crypto is similar to HBAR 1.8 cents back in 2020 when I recommended it on my Udemy course. And to every single one of you, if you aren't subscribed, you need to, as we're in the part where I can make people mass sums of money in the altcoin market, especially this one. I think this coin at this entry price is a 100x opportunity. And you're going to want to know what I have to say moving forward in this space. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
We're down in DC. I spent a day and a half down there this week. I fundamentally think a bill is going to get done in the next few weeks. The Democratic senators in earnest want to get something done. The Republican senators in earnest want to get something done. These are complicated bills. I mean, it would be complicated if me and you sat down and tried to write the bill. But when everyone is pushing for their own agenda,
right. Well, let me ask you about the bill, because I think there's maybe many more sticking points than that. But the two that people focus on right now is just what authorities the CFTC has versus the SEC, and perhaps maybe the bigger one. And you hear people like Brian Moynihan get asked about it, and others, just about stable coins and what, how they will work and whether, depending on what they're allowed to be able to do, whether ultimately you're going to have a lot of money coming out of the banking system and what that means to credit in the country.
Yeah, listen, this is an issue that the banks have brought up, and they have an amazing lobbying army, right? So they have come down, and one of the reasons the bill is stalled is the banks are saying, oh my goodness. If you go to JP Morgan right now, or Bank of America, or any of the big banks, and you put money in a savings account, you get about 11 basis points or 1 basis point. So the banks are making a tremendous amount of money holding our savings and depositing at the Fed at 3.5%, 4%. They worry that stable coins could have deposit flight. The reality is,
but just to be clear, they worry if stable coins are allowed to effectively accrue interest or some other kind of points or other things, that there would be deposit flight. That is right now. That's the central issue, because they're not allowed to technically yet.
Yes, or the banks would have to raise their interest, pay the consumer maybe a fair rate, and make less money.